Hi there, I'm Henry Anderson. I'm the family therapist who frequents some of the schools in District 3. You may know me, you may have met me before, you may have just seen me walking around. But I drop in occasionally to see certain students and check up with them on how life is going, how home is going, how they feel at school, friends, stuff like that. And I'm pretty excited to be able to share with you a series of videos that I'm putting together aimed toward helping everyone who is returning to the learning atmosphere whenever school starts up, however that looks. There are obviously some challenges that we're going to be facing together that we've never seen before. So it would make sense to spend some time preparing for that. Not only materially, making sure you have what you need, what books you need, the spaces you need, the masks you need, but also more mentally and emotionally, not just to be able to teach children how to handle this transition, but to be in a good space and to feel whole yourself. And after all, we know that that's how children learn most from us, is from our walking the walk and living the life that we're kind of teaching them about. So in this first installment, what I thought I'd share with you is a little bit of information and then a specific practice. I'm a family therapist in private practice as well, and a huge part of my work involves mindfulness and meditation coaching and teaching. And I really feel strongly that it empowers a person to give them something, not only to do, but to give them something that they know that they can become more and more skillful at through practice. So that's why I'm calling these practices. Some of them will be more meditative in nature, and you can sift through those, and others will be a little more in daily life, bopping around in the world. But take what you want from whatever whatever shines out to you and what I'm presenting, and hopefully some of it will be useful. The interesting thing about practicing is that it implies a skill. And when we talk about mental resilience, for instance, skill is actually a really important part of the definition of resilience. It gives us hope. It's not just that we're resilient people or we're not, it's that we can actually practice a set of skills that embodies resilience in us more and more. So I thought I'd share with you first in this video a little bit about resilience. Resilience has been called other things like emotional hardiness, mental toughness, but what resilience really points to, I think, can be summed up in what I consider the 4 C's of resilience. So the first C is challenge, that is to experience things in life that are negative or unpleasant as being challenges rather than threats. This is a really essential part of what resilience is. It reframes the whole world for us from being a daunting, threatening, scary place to a challenging, sometimes unpleasant and testing place, but one where we have our feet firmly underneath us. So the first C is challenge. The second is control, which reflects the sense that we have control as individuals, not over the states of the world or of the circumstances we find ourselves in, but we have control over our responses to those things. Now, circumstances are outside of us, they're also inside of us. The emotions we feel, the thoughts we're inundated with sometimes. Those types of stresses are also things we respond to, and we have control over that response, and that's something we can train ourselves in. The third C is confidence. Sometimes we have to fake it until we make it, this confidence, but it is something worth pouring energy into. As we build more of this mindset of challenge rather than threat, ensure ourselves we have control over our responses, confidence can naturally arise on its own. But it's also something we have to work at. Show ourselves what we're good at and remind ourselves of those things. And the last C is commitment. That can be commitment to ourselves, to our intentions to live good lives, to take care of ourselves, our intentions, our commitments to our families, to providing for them or being provided by for them, supporting and being supported. It can be a commitment to our school, our district, our community, the world, however you want to frame that. commitment to ourselves and one another is really an essential part of resilience too. So what I'd like to share lastly today is a practice, maybe a couple of practices in fact. So again, these practices reflect the fact that they can be learned, they can be practiced, they can be done repetitively, and over time they can be, your skill with them will increase. So the first practice is that of, it's a self-regulation practice, a self-soothing practice. So we meet different challenges and stresses in the world, and we want to have ways to help ourselves feel relief or feel soothed through them. And so the first is a fairly simple but surprisingly effective sometimes breathing practice. It's a specific way of breathing that taps into the fact that our lungs and our heart are intimately related. Our heart rate is in fact based on as well as other things, on how fast or slow our breathing happens. Every time we breathe in, our heart slightly beats faster. Every time we breathe out, our heart slightly beats slower. That's called a sinoatrial. The sinoatrial node in the heart is kind of what is the heart's pacemaker, and that's what controls that. So for a few moments, what I'd invite you to do, either with me right now or you can remember it and try it in another place, is to actually slow the breath down so that you breathe in a full breath for the count of 5 seconds. So I'll kind of count out as we go. So we breathe in for the duration of 5 seconds, hold for just a moment, and then we double that number as we breathe out, fully, completely releasing our air to the duration of 10 seconds. Okay, so we'll do that 3 times. In for 5, out for 10, in for 5, out for 10, in for 5, out for 10. Okay, so let's try that. You can watch my fingers to count and try to concentrate on filling the air and emptying the air as much as possible while timing the breath. Okay, here we go. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Okay, now you can let your breath return to a normal, natural pace and maybe take stock for a moment on what the body feels after doing that. Practice this throughout your day, maybe even doing it in 10 times in a row, 10 full in and out breaths, maybe like when you're going to sleep. You test the body and see what happens. A similar practice is one that's another breathing practice taken from yoga teachings. So in yoga, breathing is a really central part of what they're doing. You know, you hold a posture and breathing is a part of that. You move your body, you match your breath to the movement. And in this breathing practice, which is sometimes called ocean breathing, it kind of feel a little funny at first, but I encourage you to practice with it and try it. It's actually slightly closing the throat muscles as you breathe in so that it creates somewhat of sometimes a hissing kind of sound. It sounds a little like the ocean waves coming up and receding. So you breathe in, slightly tightening the throat muscles to make that sound, and then you breathe out really long, also holding the throat muscles slightly contracted to make the sound happen. It sounds a little like this. So you can hear it's just a gentle kind of wave-like sound. It can feel silly to do, especially around other people, but if you have a moment to try it on your own, that's what I'd encourage you to do. Maybe just breathe like that for a little while. Breathing in, hearing the breath, breathing out, listening to that deep wave-like breath sound. And try to let the sound kind of lull you or rock you into a little bit of a calm state. And let those deeper, slower breaths soothe the body as you do that. Okay, so I hope that you found some interest or some benefit out of what I've shared with you today. I look forward to continue sharing things like this with you in the future. And you can always reach out to me if you have any questions or anything like that. You can find my contact information from the district office. You can email Ruth Schoonover. She'll put you in touch with me. So have a good day and take care.